So I've been playing around with the chain tensioner on my Series 1 because if you can remember it was extremely loose. The teeth are in very good condition here. I have no problems with that at all. But it seemed to be slack, it seemed to be sort of a lot of slack in the chain. And I did say in the video I thought it was a hydraulic tensioner, and I'm right, it was a hydraulic tensioner. So how does it work? Well, obviously what we've got is an affair like this. So this sits in here, and this is very interesting how the oil gets through that wee hole there, because inside there's been a drilling and they've put a plug over it, right? So the plug here goes all the way through to a drilling here, alright? And then the oil goes through the bottom of that hole, expands this cylinder to take up the tension. At the same time, the tension spring here is trying to push it open, if you see what I mean. So it will automatically adjust according to the oil pressure. It's kind of difficult to explain, but you'll get the drift. So let me put this sort of simply together without the spring, and you'll see that's the setup. So you've got your pivot there, and there's your little piston. So as oil is pushed into this cylinder, this ratchet is coming down further and further, but it can't go backwards because of the teeth here, right? So that's really easy. That's a really easy thing. So when I blew through this hole, I could blow and suck through it, so therefore the ball wasn't seating. Ah, you see, ball wasn't seating. So daft bugger me thought to myself, I'll take it to bits. And what a bloody nightmare. This ball here, this little thing here, let's see if I can get it in the right position. There is an undercut inside here. So what it means is the inside then goes to a cavity. So the spring here is a little triangular shaped spring. I'll put it on the paper so you can see it. It's there, look, it's a little, maybe you can't see it, it's that bloody small. It's a little triangular spring. There, let's move this down a bit. There. So that locks into that groove. And, just to make life a bit more interesting, it's got a special locking ring, like that goes into the groove as well. Just like Madonna. So, I thought, well, I'll just pull it out. And you can't. It's absolutely impossible to get down inside this tube. Now, you can see what I did anyway. It's impossible to get into that tube to get that spring out. You have to destroy that clip and that spring in order to get the ball out, in order to clean it. Now, I was in a bit of a mess because I thought, well, I've just put my order into Craddock's, and that bit's about £2.50 and that bit's about £2.50 as well. It's not really expensive. So I thought, oh shit, I wonder if I could fix it. And lo, I came across with an idea. This is the base. You know those flashlights, and you know you've got a little coily spring in the bottom, and you put your batteries in, and it makes contact. Perfect. As you might be able to see down there, I cut the spring down a bit. See, that's it. That's the out bit there. That's the outside bit. I cut it down, and I put this in the vise vertically, and using a punch that was the same diameter, except for that wasn't it. Wait a minute, I'll pull the right one out here. Pulling a punch out that was the same diameter, I pushed it down and set it. Now the first time I did it, I just used the piston to go down, except this goes down a lot further than that piston, and that would be the equivalent of the groove, getting to the groove like Madonna. So, again. So now, we can put it back together. I'm quite confident that this is going to work because look, I don't know if you can see there that there's the piston's moving in and out, and you can't blow through it. Brilliant. So that's one nightmare out of the way. The other thing you need is one of them. See that? In order to, I had a struggle to get that bloody tensioner off, and I didn't realise there was a special tool you needed. So this is it. And there's the big boingy, and that's it. So, oh, 1 minute. I have to remember where I am. So that goes into there, and this somehow locks in there like that. That locks the tensioner in so that that can now come out. You see what I mean? So once that's locked, this can move up and down quite freely. Now it only took me a few minutes to make that. It wasn't very long, and I hooked it over, and I hooked it in from this side. Originally I had it on the front piece here, and I realised when you put the sprocket on you wouldn't be able to get the tool off. In fact, I've put that one backwards. 1 minute. Take it off again. Put it on the right way around. What a mess about I had. So that's where I was doing all Saturday. There we go. So that's how that will fit on the car, like that. So you can just flick it off and that will move around. What a royal mess about. Still, these things are set to tryers, aren't they? Yeah. The worst part about it was, if I'd sort of relied on thinking about getting a spring, there was no way over here. Well, I might be able to find a little spring like that, but it just worked out. It just worked out nice. There was one. Is it a good idea? Yes, it is. It is a good idea because, like I say, when you've got this ratchet affair here, as that's coming down, it can't come back up. So this is why we must have been halfway between two teeth. It wouldn't lock onto the next one because I think the oil pressure couldn't push that these two pieces apart. It was relying on the spring, and the problem was because the little ball inside wasn't keeping the oil pressure, it was just bouncing up and down. It wasn't sort of allowing the oil pressure to push the ratchet down and then lock. Right, that's enough for a Saturday. I've had enough of this. I've had enough of today. I'm sick to death of today. But anyway, these things happen. So now I'm going to put a little bit of paint on that. Then we're going to call it a day. But things to watch out for when you're doing cars, when you're overseas, and you need the slightest little thing, and it can completely cock your job up. Because think about it. The timing cover has to go on before the sump. Because the sump bolts along the timing cover at the front. Don't think about, you know, oh, I'll just put a bit of gasket in it, because if you've already put gasket sealer on it, when you take the timing cover off, you'll invariably tear the sump gasket. So timing cover on first, then sump gasket. See ya.